As you know, I have the Harley Roadster, and as you also may know, I always get crash protection for my motorcycles. Of course, my favorite company, who have saved my butt many times, T-Rex Racing. I got a set of their frame sliders. Now these sliders are for the Harley XR 1200, which is the sportiest Sportster they've ever made. It's an awesome bike, but they only made it for a couple of years. So I got this set to see if they would fit on my bike, and we're going to try it out and I'll let you know. As usual, T-Rex Racing frame sliders are the cheapest option. There are a couple other options that I know for sure would have fit. These are much cheaper, and I wanted to try them out to let you guys know whether or not they'd fit on yours. So if you wanted to get some, you could save a lot of money. The only tools you're going to need for this: a 5/16 hex bit, a socket wrench of course, and I'm going to use some blue Loctite. You're also going to need a 5/32 bit, hex bit. They look good. I'll have a link in the description so you can buy them on Amazon, or you can go to their website. I think on Amazon they only have this like satin nickel finish, but you can get black, obviously. I don't know how well you can see or hear, but hopefully it's good. You're going to start on the left side. You don't have to, but I imagine it's going to be easier. They don't include instructions with T-Rex Racing sliders, so you're welcome. I get to experiment for you. You're going to want the medium-sized bracket, 2 of the spacers, your blue Loctite, your socket wrench with the 5/16 bit, hex bit. We're going to remove these 2 bolts. They hold on this bracket for the wiring, and they go all the way through the frame down here. You shouldn't need any kind of jack to support the engine. We'll find out. They're a little bit tough to crack loose, but once you get them, they're good to go. After you have the bolts out, you're going to see the 2 holes that are left. It's pretty intuitive which way to put it. You're going to want to put it underneath the clutch cable. You're going to take your 2 longer gold bolts, strike that. This is why it's good I'm experimenting for you guys. The gold bolts and the longer silver bolts you get are different thread patterns, so I quickly found out that you're going to want to use long silver bolts on this side, not the long gold bolts. Slide it through the bottom unthreaded portion of the bracket, and then you're just going to slip the spacer on, and you're going to do that for both of the bottom unthreaded holes. And then this is going to bolt up right on here where the 2 bolts you just took out go. Don't forget to put on that Loctite. A dab will do ya. Also, there's a clip that goes on right up here to keep these wires in check. It helps to take it out first. Make sure you're not pinching any of these wires down here in this bracket. It's looking good. Next, you're going to want to take your frame slider and unscrew the dell rim tip, the slider tip. It's good that these come off, so if you ever have a wreck, you just buy another tip and then screw it right back on. There's going to be a bolt that goes all the way through it. These are installed when you get it. That's going to go in this bracket right here. Tighten that all the way up. Don't forget your Loctite. Put this washer back on and just screw back the cap. Now if you want to keep the cap secure, there's a little screw right here, but for now, just in case I have to adjust it, I'm going to leave it loose. Alright, now we've come around to the other side. I hope you can see and hear. We're looking at this right here. It looks exactly the same as on the other side. Same 2 bolts. you're going to need your large bracket and your small bracket, your last two spacers, your small silver bolts that come in the kit, and your large gold bolts, and of course your slider. First we're going to start with the small bracket. The small bracket is going to attach just like this. You want the non-threaded holes to go into the bike, and the threaded holes will be hanging below. Start by removing these two bolts, just like the other side. Oh man, these suckers were even harder than the other side to break loose. Like I said, once they're loose, they just come right out. Don't worry about getting them mixed up with your bolts from the other side, since you're probably smart to keep the parts. They're the exact same bolts. Use your small silver bolts from your kit and attach it straight to the frame with the threaded holes down below. Snug them up. This one's going to be a problem, it seems. I happen to have a shorter star bit setup that I can just barely sneak right in. If you don't, you might have to get a shorter hex bit if yours is long like this, or use a handheld hex bit. You won't be able to get it as tight, but it shouldn't be a problem if you've got Loctite on there. Now, grab your large bracket. It has some softer sort of rubber here, because that might be touching the engine at some point. And you're actually going to get the long rod that was included. You're going to thread the long rod onto the threaded portion sticking out of your large bracket, thread it in with the hex nut side. It will not thread in the other way. Now you're going to slip this whole assembly in here, letting the rod go all the way through to the other side. And you're going to line it up, put the spacers in between, thread these bolts in to make it stay, because we need to do something on the other side real quick. Okay, back to the other side. You're going to take the only screw that was included in the kit, and then your 5/32 hex bit, and you're going to line up the long rod with the bracket on this side, put the screw through here and into the rod. Now, I couldn't get the screw to go all the way into the rod, but looking at pictures, it looks like they have some sort of spacer in the picture. And they did not send me a spacer. I'll go check again, but if not, that's how it's gonna look. By the way, guys, one frame slider bracket has these cuts in it, the other one is just completely round. This is because on the XR1200 it has an exhaust routing that puts the exhaust pipes very close together right where it goes through, and that's so you can squeeze it through. So you can put this on the exhaust side or the other side, it doesn't matter with the Roadster. After you've lined the long bar and screw up, just come back around to the other side and tighten down this bracket. Now, Loctite up this puppy, screw it on, and you're almost finished. You might need to get a wrench if you want to line this one up a certain way, because whenever you tighten it down, it starts to spin. Now you're pretty much done. All you have to do is tighten this puppy up as much as you can get it. I will contact T-Rex Racing and see if they have a bushing or spacer for right there. I'll update you whether they do or not. Based on the pictures on the website, they have updated these frame sliders a little bit. The model they show on their website are slightly different on both sides. But I think I did it correctly. I will send them pictures and ask them, and if I didn't, I will update this. T-Rex Racing has frame sliders for pretty much any bike. And I have an install for the RC390 frame sliders. You can go watch that. Don't forget to tighten up your pucks. Let me check on the size for you. You tighten up the pucks with a 1/8 hex bit. Or actually, slightly smaller than a 1/8 hex bit. Remember, there's a link down below where you can buy them off of Amazon, or you can go to their website. They have satin kind of nickel finish, and then they have black. Let me know how it goes for you. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz.